Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webcast. Learn how Care.com takes care of their employees with AI, a case study. Sponsored by MeBeBot. This webcast has been pre-approved for HRCI and can be submitted for SHRM credit. Please be sure to attend the complete webcast in order to receive your credits. If you have any questions during the webcast, click on the Q&A tab in your webinar controls and type them there. A new tab will open in your browser with the webcast survey. Please be sure to complete it as soon as the webcast is ended. It is now my pleasure to turn it over to MeBeBot for the presentation.
Thank you, Hester. We're really happy to be here today as we bring the team from Care.com and MeBeBot together to talk about how Care.com takes care of their employees using AI. So we're ready to get started, and hopefully you are too. So first of all, I'd love to introduce our speakers. We have the pleasure to have Kristin Foxx. She's the Senior Human Resource Manager from Care.com with us today, as well as Lynn Pattin. And she's the Senior Total Reward Specialist at Care.com. And I'm Beth White. I'm the CEO and founder of MeBeBot, and we would love to take you on sharing this amazing case story with you today. So I will turn it over to myself to talk about the agenda first. So we're going to review what Care.com did with MeBeBot. We'll talk about their employee experience challenges and how they were looking to find a digital technology solution to serve their employee needs. We'll discuss their key learnings, and then we'll go into a session to talk about why AI is important and why it is the time now to leverage AI inside your organizations to support your employees and your HR, IT, and ops teams. We'll be sure to leave time for questions because we'd love to hear from you all as we go down this path together. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Lynn as she shares with you some insights about, or actually it's Kristin first, right? Kristin's going to talk about Care.com first. All right, Kristin.
Thanks, Beth, so much for the introduction. Super excited to have all of you here and to tell you a little bit more about Care.com and how we're leveraging AI. Just some background information about us and what we do. Many of you may have heard a little bit about Care.com and know a little bit about what we do, but hopefully I can give you a little bit of extra info that you may not have known about our company before. Starting out, we were founded in 2006. So we're a relatively young company, but we've been in the industry for a little while now. Currently, we are under the blanket of IAC. That's the company that is over top of us now, and that's been the case for a couple of years now. First and foremost, our real focus is family care in all its different forms. So I know you all probably have heard about Care.com from a purely caregiving standpoint, and I'll get into in a couple of minutes a couple of the additional areas that we also cover. Basically, our belief as a company is that being able to take care of your family is truly a fundamental human need. It's not something that's a nice to have. It should be something that everybody has available to them. It's so important when it comes to driving the economy, when it comes to people feeling empowered, when it comes to being able to also help people from certain groups, for example, women, and being able to have careers that are able to be progressed and have the care that's needed for their families taken care of while they pursue their dreams and while they pursue their different opportunities within their lives. For us as a culture within Care.com, we are very much employee experience focused. One of the big areas of focus for us, and this is definitely also within Lynn's space, who will be speaking with you in a few minutes, is having the most robust benefits package possible for our employees and being as innovative as we can with our offerings for our employee population. So as opposed to being super focused on just like your standard things like your benefits and your dental and your vision, medical, dental, and vision insurance, we are really more so focused on what more can we do. And also, as you can imagine, we also leverage our Care.com benefits that we put out there to our clients outside of the company, also inside of our company, and offer discounted rates for our own employees as well, so to make sure that they are able to also provide appropriate care for their families. So what do we do? So you have a little bit of a guess or a clue into what it is that we do overall. Like I said, we're in the family care business, but it goes beyond just purely childcare. So we're in a lot of different areas here. So on top of childcare, we do senior care, tutoring services, housekeeping, which is a personal favorite of mine, daycare, as well as pet care. So as you can see, it really does run the gamut of all of the essential needs that you would want taken care of, especially if you're leading a very busy life. One thing that probably doesn't get talked about as much, though, is the fact that we are a truly digital company. Like, just because we're in the service or care industry, it doesn't mean that we're necessarily separate and apart from sort of the technology end of things. So what I mean by that is our big focus, and the thing that we purely run on, is a digital platform. So when someone is looking to find care in whatever form that is, they are going onto our digital platform that we're often tweaking, that we're often changing, that we're often updating, to make sure that people are able to easily find and schedule the different care elements that they need. It's also the platform that we use for our caregivers themselves to be able to access the jobs that are available. So that way they are able to maintain their careers as easily, as simply, and as sustainably as humanly possible. So at the end of the day, the long and short of it is that we are truly a technology-based company that cares very deeply about how our services are accessed, and how our employees, like our caregivers, are able to provide and access their own how they're able to create opportunities for themselves and getting jobs more easily. In addition to individual services that we do with individual clients, another big thing to mention is that we do have an enterprise solution. So essentially what we do is we help companies basically build out their benefits offering. So like how we want to, as a company, want to do beyond just your standard medical, dental, vision insurance. We want to make sure that other companies have the same opportunity as well. So we offer robust enterprise solutions for companies that are looking to sort of up their game when it comes to what they're providing their employees. And really the intent of that is really to hopefully make it easier to attract and retain talent for their corporations, as well as to help with productivity, as well as to provide decreases as it pertains to absenteeism and employee turnover and all of those things. We hope that our offerings are able to just make people's lives a little bit simpler, so they're not having to worry about those elements that have to be taken care of at the same time as one needing to go, for example, to work. And so, like any other company, Care.com definitely has its particular challenges when it comes to its employee base. The biggest and most obvious one for us as a company is that we are truly a remote company. We consider ourselves, quote unquote, a remote equal company. We are represented in over 45 states in the country. So as you can imagine, that is a very widely distributed workforce. In addition to that, we also have the international component. We also have employees based in Berlin, Germany, as well. So as you can imagine, when it comes to things like messaging to our employees, communicating to our employees, providing important resources to our population, it can be quite challenging when you're talking about all of these different locations across all different time zones, across all different people, and coming from different walks of lives and different situations. We don't have necessarily the benefit, obviously, of all being able to gather in one room, in one place at the same time. So, the challenge for us is, how do we address a distributed employee base in a way that's effective for everyone, and so that everybody feels like they are all receiving the same message at relatively the same time. And so that was really for us why MeBeBot in particular was attractive to us, right? You know, there's only so many of us that work in human resources, for example, within the company, and we are having to address, you know, on the full-time corporate side alone over 1,000 employees, in addition to our caregiver population. You can imagine, you know, the number of inquiries and the number of questions and the high need when it comes to communication for that type of population. And so for us, we just wanted to make sure that we were able to reach and touch each of our employees in a way that mattered, and in a way that was really, really effective. You know, in addition to that, you know, it is not just a challenge for our HR team only. It's also a consideration for our IT team. You know, a big example is, you know, everybody being remote, they have to get laptops out to everybody. They have to be able to communicate how to get on our things like our VPN, for example. You know, if they're having trouble with Slack, you know, anything like that, they have to have an effective way to connect with people, to help them troubleshoot and to help them get onboarded and all of that good stuff. Additionally, we have a facilities team that we work very, very closely with as well. And for them, you know, it's the same thing. How do they get certain items to people if they're not physically at a location? And for those that do sometimes want to go to an office location, to one of the hubs that we have throughout the country, how do we arrange for that to be something that's doable and easy for those individuals? How do we make sure that their particular needs are met when it comes from a facilities standpoint? So as a result of all of those things, really, you know, what one of the tools is that we use that's pretty heavy is Slack. And I know a lot of you all probably use Slack at your organizations as well, but that's sort of the great equalizer for us right now, is to leverage Slack as a way to kind of keep that real-time communication for everybody at the same time. So we definitely utilize a lot of different channels and things like that to get in touch with people. And that applies across HR, IT, facilities, and even, you know, additional groups outside of that. The other big thing that kind of applies across the three of our groups is onboarding. So we are remotely onboarding each and every one of our employees at the end of the day. That touches HR, IT, and facilities. How do we as teams within HR, IT, and facilities work effectively with each other to make sure that we're coordinating properly between the three of our teams, in addition to how are we each as teams helping to get our employees into the company in a way that is effective, in a way that makes every employee feel like they've been taken care of, and that makes every employee's transition into care one that is effective. So for us, utilizing technology, being involved with the digital transformation of things are sort of the huge focuses for us, and it's certainly a huge goal of ours. In addition to that, we also want to make sure that we have consistency across our messaging at the end of the day. We want to make sure that what we're telling one group today is the same thing that we're telling another group tomorrow. We want to make sure the same thing that HR is telling an employee is the same thing that IT or facilities or payroll or whoever is telling the employee. So to make sure that we are able to maintain that consistent messaging and to maintain that additional support for the employees that every employee needs, we definitely rely on sort of the technology aspect and the digital aspect, where we're constantly transforming ourselves to make sure that we're best able to help our population. And then the other really big thing for us, and this is why Slack in particular has been a huge tool for us and a huge advantage for us, is the support and being able to provide support 24/7. like we mentioned, at the end of the day, we're in different time zones a lot of the times. And, our HR teams are primarily in, one or two different time zones, but our population is across multiple time zones. So how are people able to access what they need if, for example, our HR team isn't online yet? And so MeBeBot has played a really big role for us in being able to allow that access for employees 24/7 to have their questions answered. So we
Great,
are going.
Kristin.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah,
Beth.
sorry. I see the poll has popped up here, and we're going to take a minute and have you all answer this question. So it is, how do you routinely answer your HR questions for your employees today in your companies? I know there's a number of different folks out here. If you're on the call and you're part of IT, feel free to answer it in that perspective, but we're looking to learn from you all as to what are the common ways that you're answering employee questions today. And Kristin shared the impetus for Care.com to go down the path and look at digitally transforming their employee experience and support, leveraging MeBeBot. So we'll give it another minute here. And hopefully you all can give us some insights into your current business processes. And thanks, Kristin. I really do love what you've shared with us thus far. And so far as the poll results are coming in, it does look like emails are sent directly to the HR staff. 52% of you all have indicated that that is the main way that employees ask you for help and you monitor their support needs. Otherwise, there's also 32% of you have likely a general HR inbox. There could be potentially a payroll inbox, a benefits inbox. I've seen companies have several of these types of inboxes, very manual, very difficult and challenging to manage and know who's helping which employee, et cetera. Don't see a lot of activity yet right now from this group as far as employees supporting their employee questions or HR supporting employee questions via Slack or Teams. No one has indicated that yet. There are a few folks out there, 12%, that are using a ticketing system. And some of you indicated other. And that could be somebody coming by your desk, right? I remember those days as well. So, all right, well, we'll move on, and the poll's still open. If you still want to give your feedback to us, we'd appreciate it. So again, thank you, Kristin, and we're going to move on and have Lynn tell us about, their experience at Care.com in implementing MeBeBot and how their solution took shape.
Thank you, Beth. As Kristin mentioned, our employees are, our employees are the heart and soul of our mission. And so Care was looking for that effective solution to improve the employee experience in our remote eco environment. By leveraging MeBeBot, this was key for us to improve that employee experience. We chose their intelligent assistants to provide employees with an easy to access AI chatbot. And it was able to provide that solution for us for quick answers, the 24/7 answers to question anytime, anywhere. I know Kristin and I both have received Slacks late at night, just based on the different time zones, or even on the weekends. So this was a great solution for us to be able to actually have those answers for those employees right away, and then also us be able to have some downtime ourselves. So we also added some custom questions because we have a unique culture, and every organization is probably going to have things outside of just in the box solution. So we made sure to create some custom questions, and then with the push messaging feature, we were able to personalize notifications and updates. So that was based on location. A push message can go to Germany, and it drives real-time, consistent communication, as well as we can send separate messages to the US employees. The entire solution was launched in under 8 weeks. So it was June 1st, I believe, that we launched. And we started on that just a couple months beforehand with the collaboration from some great teams that we have here at CARE in the HR, IT, and facilities. And then we installed it, and it doesn't look like anyone here has Slack, but they have different ways that you can actually implement into your own normal flow of work. But for us, we are a very Slack heavy company. So in just 5 minutes, we were able to have the employees download it into their Slack and get instant answers. Now, this next slide is an example of the Slack solution that we have. But mostly what I want to point out is that in here, you can see that we were able to send a push message there to tell about our people operations office hours that we had coming up. You're also able to obtain employee feedback. So you can see here where it says, was this helpful? And then they can give a yes or no response. And then we are able to see those responses and then iterate on the solution. So if you, it actually gives a suggestion too that you can try rephrasing your question and asking again to make it clearer. So if you do receive a not helpful answer, then maybe if you ask again, the natural language processing may be able to understand it asked in a different way. And as people continue to ask questions, MeBeBot actually gets smarter because the tool will learn the different ways that employees are going to ask the particular questions. And then for the related topics, if you don't get the right answer, or maybe it's close but not quite what you were looking for, those related topics can provide another answer for you. So you can just click on, like for example, in this example here, you can actually click below there on the related topics and receive another answer to the question. And then this is actually the dashboard, and it's reflective. It tells a story of the questions that we saw since launch. So you can see there in that first spike, that was June 1st. That was our initial launch date. And we had 31 users ask 86 questions, right? That might not seem like a whole lot, but at CARE, we have about 1,000 employees. So over the course of time, as we were implementing the solution, we saw an uptick in the number of users with each communication that we did. So on June 3rd there, you can see where when we sent a push message, it generated 22 users asking 56 questions. So these are new users who haven't used the tool before. And then there on the weekend, June 4th and 5th, you can see that some questions came in. So we were able to have MeBeBot answer those questions for us. And then there was steady activity for the second full week. So that would have been the June 6th through June 10th that you see there. And then when we had onboarding sessions, so you'll see some peaks there. We have a new hire onboarding session for employees on Mondays, and then I do a benefits onboarding on Thursdays. And we do normally see an uptick there because we are socializing the MeBeBot tool, and then employees, new hires are going in and using the tool. And this is especially helpful for the new hire employees as well. And then with this last spike here at the end, that was when we sent a push message through the tool, and you can see that that drove participation as well. So you can visually see the return of investment here for us over the course of just these couple of weeks here. And then this is just an example of the background where you can actually go into the tool and you can customize your answers. I know I'm in here, I usually go in about once a day and take a look at the feedback that we're receiving and then modify the questions accordingly. So if perhaps maybe a question came in and it looks like maybe we could enhance the answer just a bit to answer whatever that employee had asked that it didn't quite cover, then we can take care of that. But we have several unique custom questions that we have in here, as well as we use the huge database that MeBeBot has too, to come up with our solution for our employees. And then this is just an example of the push message that we sent maybe on that slide where you saw the peaks. This is actually what the highest peak was when we sent a push message, and it drove people to utilize the tool, just kind of like a little teaser. Happy Friday, you know, we have this new tool, check it out. Here are some questions that you can ask, and then here's a little bit about how to use the tool. And then our rollout was really focused on adoption. So we started out, we sent a kickoff email to start with, and that was on the June 1st when we rolled it out. And then we had the members on our implementation team put up Slack status messages that said, hey, have you tried MeBeBot yet? It has a little emoji with the bot. And then that sort of, if we're in a meeting and we're not able to answer right away, it puts the bug out there to try the MeBeBot tool. We also had it in our email signatures, along with how you can actually get it installed in Slack. The push message feature really helped us. And then we have auto replies for common inboxes that we have, like our benefits or people operations inbox. And for when we're actually out of the office, where we can say, I'm out of the office, but try your question with MeBeBot. If that doesn't answer your question, then I can get back to you when I'm back in the office. And that's been really helpful. And then we also had a presentation in our people operations office hours where we had a little slide with a walkthrough of how to install the tool. And that really drove participation greatly. We've had executive sponsorship with the tool, which is always good to see, and helps promote that participation. And then we also had some contests to drive people to the tool to maybe try and stump the bot. And that way people are getting used to the tool and then having fun while they're at it too. And then what we learned, we knew that we were getting a lot of questions. Kristin and I both were getting a lot of questions in Slack and emails. So it was no surprise that we had 897 questions answered by 210 new users. Now that is about 20% of our corporate population. So that's actually really good. We will be able to sunset some of those Slack channels. So we kind of have questions coming in from all over the place. We have several channels in Slack. We have email. So it's able to maybe just kind of streamline it a little bit more for those general questions. And then it exposed areas where we can do better to educate our employees. So we knew that people were always asking, the top 10 questions are, the number one was, what are the corporate holidays? And that was almost daily where we were getting that question. So it was no surprise for us to see that come out on top. But then some of the things that we had several questions on as well exposed areas where we can do better. And so we've been able to put together some Q&As and things of that nature to fulfill those needs, and also expand upon our MeBeBot answers as well. And then in just 6 weeks, we went from 15% of users giving feedback that they didn't receive a correct answer to less than 7%. And I just want to thank Beth's team, because that really is thanks to MeBeBot being agile and being able to update those answers in real time, and providing that support to us as well. So thanks, Beth. And that's all I have. I'll hand it over to you now.
Well, really, the thanks goes to you, Lynn and Kristin. You guys have been amazing to work with. And frankly, we really wanted to shine a huge light on the whole Care.com team. They've been fabulous to work with. They knew they had an issue. They wanted to use digital transformation and technology to help support and augment their team, but they're using it in a way to help them learn about their people, to better serve their employee needs. They have such an amazing culture. You all have heard the fabulous benefits they offer and the environment that they're creating for their people, that this allows them to take it one step further and frankly frees up a lot of their valuable time, I think, that they would have otherwise spent answering those 800 or so questions. That's time consuming. It's disruptive for their day, and it really does allow them to be able to be more strategic back for the overall business. So kudos to you both and to the rest of your team. You guys have done an amazing job. So for the next part of this presentation, what we want to talk about is share our knowledge to you about what is digital transformation, how does AI work a little bit, and why really the time is now to embrace this type of technology, as we frankly are all doing a lot more with less. And so as we get started here today, we all know that the world of work has changed overnight. Frankly, with the pandemic beginning years ago, it really moved us all from busy office places into our home environments. What a big shift that was for so many companies that never, frankly, thought they could ever do it. And look how successful companies have been with both digital workplaces and hybrid work and remote work. And now, frankly, people are interested in bringing people back into the workplace. And so companies really need to think about how do they support their employees with all these different kinds of situations happening simultaneously. I think we all know the media and frankly, a lot of companies have embraced hybrid work as something that's here to stay. And what kinds of tools can you use to better support both the in-workplace experience as well as the remote experience for your employees? And I know many companies have unfortunately experienced a lot of turnover over the last years. And perhaps some of it may be that employees need different ways to feel connected to their workplace, getting knowledge about their business, and how do we extend, tools and solutions to help employees feel more engaged and capture the pulse of how they're feeling on any given day and time. And that honestly drives a lot more retention within our organizations, and frankly, hopefully will help with what's been considered the Great Resignation. Now we're in a state right now where we have inflation pressures, and companies are looking at ways that they can, again, do more with less. And so how do you take the amazing team that you have and free up your time so that you can work on valuable different tasks within inside the business while supporting your employees and while, really maintaining budgets, which is key to every organization. And so when you think about digital transformation, what is it really? It's really the initiatives and the idea that you can take digital tools to help you streamline efficiencies and processes to improve overall productivity. And companies these days are investing a lot of money and effort on digital transformation. In fact, the conference board C-Suite Outlook did a recent survey, and CEOs will be spending a lot of money and time on digital transformation inside their organizations. Many times it's focused on their own customer experience. But as we look at industry leaders in great places to work and companies that are successful, many of them take those same types of digital transformation solutions that they may have shared with their own customers and really bring it back inside the organization to help their own employees. And so we do believe that a big area of focus will be, digital transformation for years to come. And it's really up to the HR, IT, and ops teams and facilities teams to put together the business cases to prove the value of digital transformation in every aspect of the business. And the reason why is because do you know that employees spend about 30% of their time searching for information? I know companies can have very robust intranets, they can have knowledge-based articles of different information, but at the end of the day, employees just want to get a quick answer to the question. And so even though you may have various sources of information, IT may have knowledge bases inside their help desk, You may have your company intranet that provides some overviews, but often the information is difficult to find. And frankly, sometimes the employees don't really understand how to digest the information that's out there. So it is a big problem, and it is a time drain within inside organizations today. And so we'll pause a moment because I'm really curious out there, if the folks that are on the call today, is digital transformation a priority for your company as I was describing this? Again, it can take many shapes or forms inside your companies, but the overall goal is, how can you use technology and tools and solutions to frankly better the lives of employees inside the organization? And some of those employees are you all, the folks that are hardworking in HR, IT, and facilities teams, and you need more tools to help support your overall, goals so that you can service employees as best as possible. And so the poll results are starting to come in here, and I can actually see this is exciting. 56% have indicated that yes, digital transformation is a priority for the overall company. And 24% say no, and then another 20% say don't know. So what I would encourage those of you who are frankly in more of the know and don't know categories is perhaps it's time to talk to your business leaders about digital transformation and share the example of how Care.com was able to implement digital transformation solutions for their employees in just mere weeks. And it really is a good time to say, look, there is a huge business need for this because of the time that we spend supporting routine questions when, frankly, our time could be better focused on other tasks. And so another key area that we want to cover today is talking about artificial intelligence. So we want to break it down a bit for you all to make sure you understand it. It doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be this big looming, kind of artificial intelligence topic. It is something that frankly is accessible, and it's accessible to the masses today. We all use artificial intelligence in our daily lives. And now it's time to bring some of that intelligence into the organization. And as you can see, when Lynn shared that slide of the dashboard, she was sharing that the AI produces results. It produces results that she can visually see on the dashboard so she can learn more about her people and better ways to service their needs. So let's jump in here. All right, this is not a poll, but I am kind of curious, how many of you remember these movies? Probably dating myself because I do remember War Games very well. That was with Matthew Broderick, where the computer was playing tic-tac-toe, but really the very first example of how AI could be depicted within our lives was really in Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey. And if you haven't had a chance to watch that film, it is a classic. And going back to watch it, you'll see that, it was filmed in, I believe, the late 60s. And even in that time, they were really forward thinking into how AI has taken shape in the form of natural language processing and the ability to kind of learn from humans. And again, AI doesn't have to be scary like depicted in the movies. However, it is here to help us. It is here to help us. And the reason why now is kind of the time for AI to really take off and gain momentum is this is a really fun kind of slide that talks about, how the capacity of computers over the years since the time of, when they first began, and we were using big mainframe computers and big data centers, to how we use our computers in our daily lives, even on our cell phones, which are frankly small computers. And the reason why we are able to do more with computing technology is because the power of it has exponentially increased over time. And we're just seeing now the results and being able to reap the benefits of how much computing power has become not only accessible, but also very affordable so that we can use it in every even in the workplace or again on our smartphones. So what is AI? I mean, it can be seemingly daunting. And so when we look at AI, we do see it comes in various facets, and there's AI around us. And as we mentioned today, we were talking about AI chatbots. And so chatbots are actually leveraging natural language processing, which is the ability to understand and digest natural speech from people and translate it into deliverable results, which are frankly answers to employee questions. And how that really works is because machine learning is applied. So those computers are actually processing the sentence that we either type or speak and producing the answer based on the high computing power that's available today to us. And so we have a lot of other types of AI out there. You'll see there's deep learning that's, potentially part of the big power telescopes that are searching for life in other planets. But we have even autonomous systems. There's a lot of self-driving vehicles out there. We are seeing facial recognition and pattern recognition, and frankly, even in our own GPS devices in our cars. These are all leveraging artificial intelligence to kind of help us, and again, in our daily lives. And so what's very fascinating is AI has been brewing for a while. In fact, Alan Turing was the first to kind of propose back in the 50s, is it possible for machines to think and frankly learn? And so he performed a Turing test, which is really kind of the basis of what has begun the whole AI methodologies of, teaching machines to learn. I'm most fascinated personally by, the first chatbot, which was back in 1964. There was an experiment to have a chatbot actually express human sentiment. And the idea behind this chatbot was it was frankly a self-help chatbot. It was a therapy bot. And Eliza was the name of the first chatbot, but it was a way that you could interact with this chatbot, and it was thinking and learning based on your interactions with that chatbot. Any Jeopardy fans out there? I know it's hard to see any shows of hands, but I'm a big Jeopardy fan, and I loved it when IBM was showing a proof of concept by bringing Watson onto Jeopardy to play against Ken Jennings. And actually, sadly, Watson actually beat Ken Jennings, and he's a superhero in the Jeopardy world. So that was really an example of how, IBM experimented with the AI technology to show that the computer had a way to exponentially learn and become smarter over time. And again, this doesn't have to be daunting. I imagine there's many of you out there who are using your Siri devices or your Alexa device, to get quick answers to questions. Well, that is what's called natural language processing. And Siri and Alexa are forms of, essentially a voice activated type of bot. What MeBeBot has is a chat bot, as Lynn and Kristin explained, that installs inside Slack. It also installs inside Teams or SharePoint. And what this does is it gives employees a new user interface to ask questions as they normally would in an email, or perhaps catching you as you walk down a hall in an office place. And so the natural language processing is actually ingesting that sentence structure from an employee. It's comparing it against a knowledge base of content and looking inside the data storage, and is returning results based on what it believes it has the most confidence as the right answer to your specific question and need. And it all happens in a microsecond. And that is the power of that extreme, computing power that we have today. So again, this is just really breaking it down. And again, showing code of like what is happening kind of on the back end of the system. But if an employee asks, I want to contact my HR rep, what does a machine do with that information? Essentially, it's breaking down parts of speech, and it's comparing it against, again, the knowledge base, information. And as Lynn described, MeBeBot contains hundreds of frequently asked questions that employees ask with inside businesses, where our customers just simply edit the content to the answers to fit their business needs. And then immediately the HR IT chatbot MeBeBot can actually return results to the employee, giving them the specific information that they're looking for, so that we can be as helpful to them as, again, your Siri or Alexa devices may be for you all. And so it is interesting to think about the consumer technologies and how we bring these back into the workplace. And so the goal overall is really, not to discourage employees from asking questions. It's just, how do we help employees find 24/7 support and allow them to be as productive as they need to be whenever they choose to work, as well as freeing up, again, the valuable time of the people within inside the HR, IT, facilities, operations teams. And so, like with the technology we've already described, employees have questions. They really want that instant gratification. And so MeBeBot is a bot in a box. And so, as Kristin and Lynn explained, we deliver the solution to you with curated content. You simply edit the answers to this content, and then the solution can be live and ready for your employees. What's awesome is that Care.com has used push messaging and pulse surveys to get feedback from their employees. So they can send a push message, as Kristin showed or Lynn showed an example, to give a little bit more information about MeBeBot, how MeBeBot could be helpful, but they can also send out surveys. The bot receives these push messages and surveys, so it looks like you have a message from MeBeBot. What it provides is really real-time feedback. And so you can see within our dashboard the types of questions employees are asking. With the pulse survey functionality, you can actually see results from the surveys inside the portal, the customer-facing portal piece. And we recently had a customer send out a pulse survey, and they received, over 60% feedback from employees within 4 hours, because, again, employees love to use tools and solutions that's in their flow of work. Here's some examples of how MeBeBot can work across the organization. So again, we believe, why should an employee have to know what the IT help desk information is, or how to contact somebody specifically from facilities? If they go to MeBeBot, they can have their IT questions answered, payroll, benefits, HR-related questions, as well as the facilities questions, especially important as companies are moving more and more people back into the workplace. They do need to support the hybrid work. MeBeBot, as Lynn showed, was very helpful in employee onboarding. That's the time where it's very daunting for employees as they're looking for, who do I go to for these different things? And especially with remote forward organizations, you are onboarding employees from their homes, and they don't have the opportunity to potentially meet people. So MeBeBot becomes we call it the new best friend, to help them out with their employee onboarding experience as well. And again, our goal is to really help, ensure that the HR, IT, and ops teams are smarter, become more efficient, and you're able to maximize your time. The use cases for MeBeBot is, many, frankly, but we do feel like we have facilitated a ton of our customers through hybrid work transitions. Our solution is easy to get started. It's just configuring questions to answers, and you're able to get the solution launched and live to your employees. It's so empowering to be able to launch a solution without, frankly, development help. And it does streamline the onboarding process. It's very easy and low maintenance to keep up and running, and the employees love it. They give a lot of positive feedback to MeBeBot. You can see that information and the feedback within the people analytics data that's available inside the dashboard. And we're very proud to have some amazing customers like Care.com that work with MeBeBot today. We have thousands of employees using MeBeBot in 50 plus countries. And we, again, get a lot of support from our customers. They provide us feedback on new features. They help us introduce more questions to our knowledge base overall. And we have a crowdsourced approach to overall training what we call our AI data model with all the different types of questions employees ask across the business. And so we've received some accolades and awards. We were in the Brilliant Bot selection for the Slack app marketplace. We've had really great growth, again, thanks to our wonderful customers. We continue to expand upon our product features and functionalities with push messaging and pulse surveys, and we received a 5-star average review on G2. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we were also Women in Cloud Digital Transformation Project of the Year, which is amazing to see an employee-focused solution win a Digital Transformation Project award from a global organization as well. And so here's our final polling question as we wrap up before we enter into a Q&A period. But, please let us know if you're interested in learning more about MeBeBot. We're happy to jump on a call, learn about your organization, your pain points, share a demo of MeBeBot so that you can, again, get more information about how easy, frankly, it is to get started on using AI and digital transformation within inside your organization. So we don't want to make this daunting. And so thank you all for joining us. I think we're at our time, and we'd love to be able to hear some questions from you. So I'm going to open up the chat and just see what kinds of questions are perhaps coming in. Not seeing anything as of yet, but let's see here. All right. Here's one question. Let's see from Lynn or Kristin, which one of you wants to take this, but it's, how did you gain the support of IT and facilities to be part of this project with the HR team?
I'm happy to take this one. I think really what it came down to was recognizing the fact that we all really were trying to accomplish the same goals at the end of the day. And I don't think our company is unique to this. I think a lot of our focuses are actually quite intertwined when you're thinking about HR, IT, facilities, and some other groups as well. The biggest example that I can think of is onboarding. We all each own a portion of the onboarding process. So what better way to use and to utilize a tool like MeBeBot to take advantage of making things more efficient and easier for our employees. So quite frankly, it wasn't even that hard of a sell, for our different groups, because we're all trying to look for the same thing. We're all looking to address our employees' inquiries in as efficient a manner as possible. We are all trying to make sure that we are making ourselves available to employees when they need it. We're all trying to make sure that the process, especially when they're first starting with the company, moves as smoothly as possible. I also think that we have been pretty good historically about remaining in good contact and communication with one another as well. So really establishing those strong foundations with each other, from the very beginning. I also think truly work to our advantage. There is that certain level of trust there between our different teams, that at the end of the day that we all are trying to move in the same direction. But I think, for us, the element was really finding that common ground and saying, hey, this is how this tool, MeBeBot, addresses the same concerns or the same issues that we have. And in addition, it's something that can be tailored to your own particular needs as well.
Yeah, I think it was amazing, Kristin and Lynn, the cooperation and excitement that the facilities and the IT team had, and working together on a project. I'm sure it was really great to have that cross-team collaboration that does happen within inside many organizations, but may not get to happen enough, right? So, all right. Well, I see another question in here. What did your employees think of MeBeBot? I know that's always kind of a question we receive also at MeBeBot itself is, how is this received by employees?
I can take that one.
All right,
Um,
thanks, Lynn.
we received positive feedback right away from those that were using the tool, and in particular from our CIO. He was very impressed, so I think that says a lot. But it's also been just a really great resource for new hires and for new hires managers who often get a lot of the onboarding questions that come in. So that's really been the key for us. And even with current employees who may have missed things along the way, as we've been going through the pandemic and adjusting to a remote equal environment, it was a lot of current employees who were asking questions that they just maybe had all along, or they had an opportunity to ask it. So then they were getting their answers in real time versus having to, wait on an email or on a Slack. So that's just been really huge for us. And then I think also the pulse surveys will be a really good tool for us in the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have had other customers, share feedback that they do receive from employees that are like, this is really cool. It's great to see us using some of the same technology inside, our organizations. And, thanks for being forward thinking. So, it's definitely been more positively received. And frankly, with companies that are remote and people have mobile devices, if they're traveling or, are not in behind a computer all day, if they have Slack and Teams, they can get to MeBeBot on their mobile, which keeps them kind of tied back to the organization. So let's see if there's any more questions. I have one last one that's coming in. I know, Lynn, you did cover this before about how you're promoting MeBeBot internally, but maybe you can share a little bit more about, you've gathered some really good momentum. I know you guys have done some really great internal communications and are having fun, frankly, with, using MeBeBot internally, but maybe you can, shed some light on how you've really driven great adoption of MeBeBot with inside your organization.
Yeah, I think it's key. There is a change management factor there, to go from asking questions to an actual person to a bot. So I think that concept for some people might be a little foreign at first, but we found that they adapted really quickly. We sent a kickoff email and we had adoption pretty quickly, without offering any kind of incentive or anything. And then just like the process of just constantly making sure that we're putting it out there, whether it's in a new hire onboarding. I have an email signature that tells you how to install MeBeBot in Slack. When we send our push messaging, they can actually receive that message from the bot, and it encourages them to go out and ask questions. And then we've also had some company meetings where we've talked about MeBeBot and just having our executives behind the product as well. They can speak to their teams, and then managers get used to adopting the tool and having their new hires and their current employees use the tool to get answers to questions too. It doesn't mean that we're not still serving our internal customers, our employees. It just means that we are better able to. So when we are constantly asking we're constantly answering questions like what are the company holidays, then perhaps we can't dive deeper into another issue that another employee is having with a benefits claim, let's say, or at least can't answer that as quickly as possible. And it's just allowed us to be really a lot more strategic in the way that we operate versus tactical all the time.
Right. Well, great. Well, again, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Kristin. And thanks to the whole MeBeBot team and HR.com. We really appreciate you all being here today. And again, the big shout out to Care.com overall. So thanks for having us, and hopefully you all can enjoy the rest of your day.
I'd like to
Thank
thank
you,
our
Beth. And I
presenter.
want to give a shout out to your team member Kelly too, who has also been really awesome with our team and just great to work with. So
Yep.
thank
Kelly's
you.
amazing.
Yes.
I'd like to thank our presenters as well as all of you for joining us today. If you'd like to view this webcast again, the archived recording will be available on the HR.com website within 24 hours. The webcast credit will show on your HR.com account within 2 business days, and we'll also send you an email with your credit information. Your feedback is important to us. Please take a moment to fill out the exit survey that opened in a new browser page on your computer. This concludes our webcast. Enjoy the rest of your day.